Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now I am still feeling a little bit rough, so if my voice sounds a bit more weird than usual, then that is probably why. Hopefully I'm getting over it, but it's certainly taking its time. Now some of you may be aware, some of you may not be aware, that a recent release from Perry Miniatures was their plastic Duchy of Warsaw Polish infantry, and that is indeed going to form the basis of today's video. I've been waiting quite a long time to make this, and it is how to start collecting Poles. Now I should say that I'm going to be using the terms Poles, Polish, Duchy of Warsaw, Grand Duchy of Warsaw, which I know is a controversial term for some people. I'm going to be using them all interchangeably. They all mean the Duchy of Warsaw, the army from the nation state that Napoleon created, called the Duchy of Warsaw. I'm not really getting into the specifics of that today. Just know that that's who we're talking about. Now, as with these videos, we need to put some ground rules in place first. So the first thing is we are going to be looking at units of 24 for infantry. These are going to be the average size units or medium units. So 24 for infantry, 8 for cavalry, and then 1 or 2 guns for artillery. I think we went for 2 guns for artillery in this case. We're going to need to purchase things like bases and flags where required, but I'm not going to include the prices for things like glues, paints, or modelling stuff, all that good gear. And that's because I aim these videos at people who aren't brand new to wargaming, but they've maybe coming from 40k or perhaps Hail Caesar, or maybe they just want to start a new black powder army different to the ones they've got before. I also don't include in my pricing any postage and packaging, but they are always at full RRP. Now, there are a lot of these plastic boxes in particular that you will be able to get from other websites that will have a small discount. I'm an affiliate with the Outpost. They're not always brilliant on historicals. I will put a link in the description down below, but I'm not 100% certain that their Duchy of Warsaw, that the Perry Duchy of Warsaw, are going to be available from them just yet. Now, this is one of the problems with making this video, is because they have literally only just come out. In fact, they may not even have been released yet. They may still be up for pre-order. There's not the range of metals that the Perrys do to back them up, but I don't necessarily see that as a problem. I see that as an opportunity to look around at other manufacturers. If you're watching this video in the future, I'm recording this in February 24. If you're watching it in the future, then there may be Perry alternatives that are a bit cheaper or a bit nicer. Or there might be someone else that's come out with them. But there may even be a special deal they do on the boxes as well. So just be aware of that. But I think in this episode, we're going to have at least 1, possibly 2, brand new manufacturers to these videos. I don't think I've spoken about either of these before, so hopefully you guys will get something out of it. And even if you're not directly interested in the Poles, then you can give their websites a look and you might find something there that you are interested in. There's 2 ways of doing these videos. There's either setting a budget and collecting the armies to that, or there is looking at an order of battle and then trying to fit your budget around that. What I have done with this one is something a little bit different, a third way, one could say, and that is I have written a 600-point Polish army, or Duchy of Warsaw army, using the points given in A Clash of Eagles, and that is because this army would be suitable for use in our upcoming Napoleonic weekender, the one that I announced last week, and that is taking place at Boards and Swords in Derby, and it is going to be on the 22nd and 23rd of June. So if you've not picked up your tickets for that yet, they are still available on the Boards and Swords website. I'll be honest with you, I was trying to underplay the numbers. I thought, well, I had in my mind what I thought a reasonable number would be. We have already exceeded that number, so it looks like it's going to be a really, really good weekend. I'm now wanting to hit the intermediate numbers. So if you're not sure about it, hop over to Boards and Swords, onto their website, look at the events, and scroll down to Beneath Eagles to Glory. You can also find the event pack on the I think it's Napoleonic Black Powder Facebook page as well. So you can find it on there as well. But this is going to be a 600-point army. It's going to include a free vignette. That you'll see that in the pack if you've not looked at it yet. And this is, if you start it today, then if you paint quicker than me, you might get it finished in time for the event. That said, we do live in the real world, so I have also limited I've imposed a budget on myself, and because of inflation and things like that, I'm afraid I've had to up the budget that we're allowing for a Napoleonic army to £250. Now, it used to be 200. Very occasionally, I did a video that was 250. That was if it included a lot of metals, or I think the French Imperial Guard I made 250 as well. I think £250 for a 600-point Napoleonic army, which is a pretty big Napoleonic army, is not bad going at all. Certainly, by the time you finish this army, you won't need to buy a huge amount more for it. You could, because you might want to swap some units out and things like that, but you wouldn't need to buy any more. So I think 250 quid sounds like a lot, but compared to, say, a 40k army, it's less than half the price of one of those. Now, I am still going to separate them into two chunks of 125, and this is to represent maybe birthday money and Christmas money, or a biannual bonus, or maybe just taken from two different pay packets. So the idea is that we've got £125 per month, I'm going to call it in inverted commas, and it's dividing that up into making our 600-point army. Now, we should probably start with the queen of the battlefield. We'll start with the whole reason this video exists, and that is the Duchy of Warsaw Infantry. Now, the Perrys are doing a special bundle at the moment deal, which they do pretty much with all of their plastic sets. They're not doing the discounted army deal yet, but they are doing buy 3 boxes, and you get yourself a free Prince Poniatowski model. Now, it's an okay model. He's on foot. It's not really how I would have liked to see him, but, it's better than a kick in the nuts, and we're going to need to buy 3 boxes anyway. So the first suggestion I would make with our first £66 is 3 boxes of the Duchy of Warsaw Infantry. Now, there are 2 types of boxes. There are marching boxes and action boxes. I would go with the marching ones myself. You do get some action poses in there, because that's to represent the skirmishes for the battalions, but I would just go with the marching ones. I'd keep it fairly simple, if I'm honest. Now, the great thing about these Perry boxes is, as I said, you get the skirmishes. You get 8 skirmishes in this box, but you also get 36 infantrymen. We are having units of 24, so it basically means that out of the 3 boxes, we've got 4.5 battalions, because 36 times 3 is 108. Is it 108? Yeah, 108. Always good to do maths live on air. Divide that by 24, and you get 4.5. So that's a great start. And that gives us, if we look at the selection criteria, that gives us 2 regiments of 2 battalions. Because the Beneath Eagles to Glory pack says that your brigade is only broken if you're less than half your starting strength, that means that having an even number of units doesn't matter so much as it would in normal games of Black Powder. So we've got those 4 units. One thing to bear in mind, though, is we've only got 3 command groups. So, if you want to play with them now, just one unit's going to have to play without a command group, which is not necessarily the end of the world, is it? Now, we've spent £66 so far. We're not going to leave the Perrys just yet, though, because we are going to nip over to buy some cavalry. Now, there are a few different units of cavalry that you can get for the Poles. They obviously had hussars, they had a regiment of cuirassiers, then they had chasseurs à cheval. But for me, the ones that really epitomise Poles, if there's a Polish guy, if he's not got a lance, what's he doing? It's got to be the Uhlans. Now, the Perrys don't do Polish Uhlan at the moment, but they do Russian Uhlan. Now, I have looked hither and thither, high and low, and I can't really see a huge amount of difference between the Russian and the Polish Uhlans. There will be people out there, the button sniffers, who absolutely will be able to tell you everything that's different between the Russians and the Poles. Yes, the Russian button was done on the Russian inch, which made it 3mm smaller than the Polish inch, or something like that, which I have absolutely no doubt, and fair play to those people. But the only real difference I could see was that the Duchy of Warsaw Uhlans would have the Polish eagle on the front of their chapkas, and obviously the Russian ones don't. The Russian ones don't have any eagles on the front, and you could argue that the Poles, how regularly would they have actually worn their the plate on the front of their chapka? Probably fairly regularly. If you wanted to, you could sculpt one on. I don't think you need to. I think you could just easily get away with painting up Russian Uhlans as Poles. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, the really good thing about the Perrys, similar with the infantry, is that you get 14 cavalrymen in a box, which is super handy. And because we're having units of 8, that gives us a unit of 8 and then 6 left over. So what we can do with the Perrys is you can buy individual sprues. Now, they're not necessarily very easy to find on the website, but they're under, I think it's plastic box set and then accessories. You can find the individual sprues. And the Uhlan command sprue has an officer and a trumpeter on there. So you can buy one of those sprues in addition to the box. So that's going to come to a total of £27. And that gives you the 14 in the box plus 2 for 16. Gives you 2 units of 8, each with command. And this is where I just want to have a quick stop off here to talk about something that I think I sometimes take for granted with Napoleonic Wargaming, is that's so much stuff, and we're still not over £100 yet. Now, I appreciate £100 is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, I'm not belittling that. But when you compare that to Games Workshop, so they've just brought out like a squad of guardsmen, I think is 30 quid, maybe more, maybe 35, and that's like 50 points. I mean, and 30 models for 100 quid, you know. I think the plastics really are revolutionary when it comes to Napoleonics, and we'll see in a bit, looking at some of the metal models, how expensive they can be. But it allows us to bulk out our armies, and then we can splash out a little bit perhaps on the treats for ourselves, and we can enjoy those rather nicer metal sculpts. But really, I mean, realistically, though, we got £66 for the 3 boxes of infantry, £27 for the box of cavalry plus the command sprue. So we are at £93 at the moment. We've got 4.5 battalions of infantry plus all those skirmishes. So if you wanted to do a light infantry regiment, you could just add all those skirmishes up together. You've got yourself that light infantry regiment. We've also got 2 regiments of cavalry as well. Absolutely fantastic value. Now, I should have said at the beginning, I forgot to say this in my little blurb as we start off. Usually the way this video works is month 1, we get the basics of the army, and then month 2, we get the fun stuff that we add onto it. So we've got the infantry, we've got the cavalry, we need the third leg of the tripod of justice when it comes to Napoleonics. We need the artillery. So the Perrys don't do any Polish artillery yet. We are going to leap with the speed of 1,000 gazelles over to Gripping Beast, because they now own Front Rank, and we are going to look at the Polish offerings from Front Rank. Now, they do a number of battalion packs. One of their battalion packs is DWBP 13, so 1-3. Unlucky for some, and this is horse artillery with crew. Now, I should say, sorry, this is horse artillery times 2 with crew. So this is going to give you 2 horse artillery guns. Now, you don't have to get the horse artillery. You could get the foot artillery as well if you wanted. I got the horse artillery because that's where I wanted to spend the points. And also, I think it's, for the Poles, I want them to be more cavalry focused. Despite only having the 2 units at the moment, I think by having the horse artillery, that'll help make them a bit more mobile. Now, one of the other things that Front Rank also sell, now this is, I must confess, a little bit of a luxury. You can forgo this. Oh, sorry, I should have said that the artillery is £24.80. That's for 2 guns. That is not cheap. I mean, that is £12.40 a gun, including crew. It's cheaper than Warlord. It's about 25% more expensive than the Perrys. So this is what I was talking about earlier on, when I said you might want to wait for the Perrys to bring out their own artillery and things like that to back up the infantry. Or if you wanted to go into it now, then this is, you pay your money, you take your choice, basically. They are Front Rank, so they are very nice figures. They are, one could say, worth the extra money if you care about the quality of the minis. But, some do, some don't. I'll leave that question up to you. Now, this is absolutely a luxury because they also sell a pack of Polish Eagles. Now, Napoleon did allow the Poles to have their own Eagles, but they were different to the French Eagles. The only foreign units that were permitted to carry French Eagles were the Swiss. So even the Vistula Legion didn't have. In fact, the Vistula Legion didn't have an eagle at all. They just had the spear point. Anyway. So for £3.70, pick up a pack. Wow, there you go. There's of the Polish Eagles. This is for your cavalry. The infantry, I'm assuming, are going to have all of the eagles they need as part of them. But we're going to need them for the cavalry. We need 2 for the cavalry. And we're going to need them for next month as well. Hint, hint. So I would say while we're here at front rank, we're spending our £24.80. Let's add an extra £3.70 to that. And that gives us a pack of Polish Eagles as well. So assuming that we did pick up the Polish Eagles, we've cut off some Lancers or some Sabres from our Uhlans. We've drilled their holes out. We've glued the Eagles in. That's all well and good. But there needs to be some flappy bits flapping from it. So we're going to jump over to GMB Designs, and we're going to pick up a pack of Cavalry Standards Duchy of Warsaw. It's not the world's most imaginative name, but if we pick up one of those, you get 2 in there, which is enough for both of our Uhlan regiments. Now that is going to cost us £3.90, which added to the £28.50 from front rank and the £93 from Perry's, comes to a very naughty total of £125.40. So we've been a little bit naughty there. We've overspent by 40p, but we've got a full army for £125.40p. We've got 4 battalions of infantry, 4.5 battalions of infantry, plus we've got 24, so another full battalion's worth of skirmishers. We've got 2 units of cavalry. We've got a battery of horse artillery, and we've got flags for our cavalrymen as well. Now, I haven't mentioned any bases here, and that is because the infantry and the Uhlans will come with bases as part of their box. And it just means that we've got an extra command sprue, but we'll have a base for them, spare in the Uhlan box. Now, something that we haven't got here, and I don't normally ignore these on the first month, is we haven't got any command. Now, you could designate one of your infantry colonels to be the battalion commander, something like that. The brigade commander. So he could, you could do the orders from him, or you could perhaps just base up using some spares, some of those skirmishers, and maybe make an officer and a couple of hangers-on out of those as well. I wouldn't sweat it too much. I would just say that the senior officer in this battalion, he is the brigade commander, and the one in this cavalry regiment, he's a brigade commander. Like I say, I wouldn't sweat it too much, and you'll see next month you'll see in the next month's purchases why we've not got any characters yet. So, all in all, I think that month 1's purchases were pretty tasty. It's got us a full army, as said. Now, I must apologise here. I did say that I would end mid-roll adverts, but these videos, they have such a clear cut-off point for a mid-roll. I'll keep them in this, but in other ones, I'll try and minimise them, because I really have grown to hate mid-roll ads. But so thank you for coming back and coping with that. It is much appreciated. So we are now going to go into month 2, and month 2 is going to see us go back to the Perrys, and we're going to grab another one of those deals for. Oh, actually, no, I haven't said that. Yeah, in the first month we've got Poniatowski, haven't we? So we do have a command figure. So there you go. I'd forgotten about him. And in month 2, we are going to go back there, and we're going to get another Poniatowski, and we're also going to get 3 more boxes of Duchy of Warsaw infantry. Now, this is going to make us up to 9 battalions of infantry, and that is the number that is in my 600-point list. I've got 2 brigades of 2 regiments, each of 2 battalions, and then I've got a brigade. Sorry, I've got a brigade. Yeah, a brigade of 2 regiments of 2 battalions. And I've got a brigade of a 3-regiment battalion and a 2-regiment battalion. So that's the 9 battalions we've got there. But we still only have command for 6 of them. So we're going to need to head on over to what I believe is a new company to the channel. And I've been looking at their stuff for a while, and it is very, very nice. So I'm glad to be able to get them on here. It is a company called Parkfield Miniatures. So Park is in South Park, and Field is in Sheffield. Miniatures. Now, I'm not sure where they are based. I think they are a UK company, though. And they sell figures individually, a little bit like Front Rank do. Now, they are a bit cheaper than Front Rank. They knock out their officers, which in this case would be NDW1 or NDW10. They do those for £1.20 each. Now, you're going to need 3, so you need 2 of one of the other. So buy 2 of the one that you think looks best, I guess. You also need an ensign. That's someone to carry the flags that we bought from Front Rank last month rather. We need 3 of those, so that's NDW2, and that's another £3.60. And the final £3.60 for part for your miniatures goes on 3 NDW3s, and they are the drummers. So that gives us 3 full more command groups. These are all going to be metal individuals. It only frees up 9 models, but that's okay, because we've got enough for 9 full battalions with the plastics anyway. So we don't really need to free up any models, but it gives us 9 more models that we can add as base decoration for commanders, or we could use them as casualty markers, or loads of stuff like that we can do them with. And we've not even talked about the 8 skirmishers you get in each box. Remember, you get 8 in per box. That currently gives, we've got 9 boxes. So 6 boxes, sorry. So that gives us 48 models. So we can get 2 full battalions out of skirmishers as well. I'd be more tempted to keep them as the skirmishing light companies, but if that's your jam, then you can get 2 extra battalions out of it as well. Now, because we did such a good spending job last month, we got all of our cavalry, all of our artillery, and half of our infantry. It means that this month we can splash out on something a bit more fun. Now, for many years, the go-to company for Polish Napoleonics was Moravsky Miniatures. They are absolutely superb. I've got 2 brigades of them that are still in the packs. I've not even opened them yet. Well, that's not true. I opened them, had a look at them, and then put them away again. They are gorgeous, very nicely detailed, very characterful faces. They are, however, very, very expensive. For my money, they'd price themselves out of the market a little bit. I managed to get both of my brigades, when he did a discount deal. Now, I've also heard as well that with it being a one-man operation, or near as damn it, the delivery times can sometimes be a little variable. I certainly had problems with one of my brigades. The other brigade was absolutely fine. So I'm going to recommend, instead of going to Moravsky Miniatures directly, we go to a company that's actually owned by Warlord Games, and that is Skytrex. They distribute Moravsky Miniatures, and from them we're going to buy Polish High Command. It's the same price as it would be to buy direct. It is £35. Now that is an oof. I mean, oof. That's for 7 models. So we are looking at £6 a model, just shy of. So, oof, yeah, that's not cheap, especially when you consider as well that one of the models you get in there is Prince Poniatowski, and we got 2 versions of him already. But but never mind. They are, however, really, really nice models. And for me, the Perrys don't do any high command for the Poles yet, so we've got to get them from somewhere. And Front Rank do them. You could have got them from there. But I think, for 2 reasons, I would recommend the Polish High Command. The first one is they are very, very nice. And the second one is Moravsky Miniatures. He's kept the flame burning for the Duchy of Warsaw for so long that I think we should, put some trade his way if possible. Don't buy stuff from him just for the sake of it. But as we need some high command anyway, these ones are really nice. Let's get them from him. And because there are 7 models in there, that gives us enough for 3 command bases. So we can have a command base of 3 models, the divisional commander, in this case Poniatowski, and then we can have 2 brigade commanders. So we can have 1 for the infantry. Well, we can have 2 infantry ones, and then we can use the senior colonel for the Uhlans as the cavalry one. Or you could just have Poniatowski with 1 guy, and then 1 guy on his own. He's the cavalry brigade commander as well. Also very doable. Now, one thing that these commanders need to go on, though, are round bases. So I'm going to recommend that we jump over to war bases. I always recommend that we jump over to war bases for these. And we get a set of 50mm round bases. You get 8 of those in a pack for £1.20. And we also get a pack of 50 by 100mm rectangles. You get 5 there, and that's for our horse artillery. In month 1, we could have just used some spare bases from the infantry, but now they can have their own proper-sized bases. Because the Perry miniatures come with their own plastic bases, that's it. That's all we need for bases. So really, really cheap. Just £1.95. £2.95, sorry, for those 2 sets of bases. So we've currently spent £66 this month. We've spent £66 on 3 more boxes of Duchy of Warsaw Infantry to take us up to 9 battalions. We've spent another £10.80 on getting 3 command groups to bulk those up. So we're on, what are we on? We are on £76.80. Now we've spent £35 on the Polish High Command. So that's really going to bump us up to £111, 80, something like that. And then we've spent effectively £2 on the bases. So around about £115, maybe just a little bit shy of that. Although, to be fair, we did spend an extra 40p in month 1. So let's call it £115. Now, we've got everything we need now. We've got our command groups. We've got 3 command groups to represent brigade commanders. And then we've got the overall divisional commander. We've got 9 battalions of infantry. We've got the skirmishers to go with those 9 battalions of infantry. We've got 2 regiments of Uhlans. And we've got commands and flags as far as the eyes can see. I've not recommended that we buy any Duchy of Warsaw infantry flags because I'm assuming that they're going to come in the Perry box. Now, assuming can make an ass out of you and me, I understand that. But I'd be very, very surprised if they don't have any flags in there. So we've got about £10 left over. Now, something that the pack Beneath Eagles to Glory is very keen to promote are vignettes. So the vignettes are those little camp scenes, or the little extras that can in the pack can give you different effects depending on what they are. Now, I want my Polish charge to be like it was in 1684. Was it 1684? Yeah, at Vienna, they destroyed the Ottomans. I want their charge to go as well as possible, so I'm going to buy a sword sharpener. Now, one of the nicest sword sharpeners I've seen is from Eureka Minis. I did think about going for the bread oven, but that was a bit more expensive. That was too out of my price range. These are free add-ons to your army, though. So I'm going to go with the sword sharpener from Eureka Minis. He is £7.40. So that leaves us with around about £3-4 left. So I am going to recommend. Looking at it now, I've got my 600-point army plus my free vignette. There is nothing else I need to buy. I would just be spending money for the sake of spending money at this point, which is fine by me. So I'm going to recommend that you jump onto the Sainsbury's website. Now, this is another new one to the channel. Some of you will be wondering where this is going. Some of you may have a wry smile on your face. And for £1.25, I would recommend that you buy yourself a 5-pack of Freddo chocolate bars. There you go. That's what you can spend your leftover money on. 5 Freddos. I can't believe they've got 25p each in a multi-pack. Shocking. But there you go. That's my final recommendation. A box of 5 Freddos. Now, even including the box of Freddos, we have spent, I've just totaled it all up, we've spent £123.80 this month. Now, if we add the extra 40p from last month, that means that we've spent £124.20. So we're still 80 pence under. And that is it. We have bought ourselves a large Polish, or Duchy of Warsaw army here. We've got 9, 11, 12 units, if you include the artillery. We've got the high command for them all. And we've got ourselves a little bit of fun as well in the vignette and the Freddos to enjoy. That's it. Well, every time you've painted every other battalion of infantry you paint, you're allowed a Freddo. There you go. That'll keep you motivated. But so that's it really. I think for £250, so we have up to the budget from 200. To be fair, you've got yourself a really nice army there. Now there are cuttings that can be made. You could not buy the Eagles from front rank, although if you're buying the extra metals, you're going to need them for those extra battalions anyway. You could hold off buying the Polish High Command from Moravsky Miniatures and buy maybe some cheaper ones from front rank. I would also say they do an absolutely gorgeous set of 2 mounted officers as well. So they're well worth picking up. They're really, really nice models, those two. So if you wanted to spend a little bit more, then you could get those guys to be an infantry brigade command as well. But there you go. That is my suggestions for a 600-point, £250 Duchy of Warsaw army. The new Perrys look absolutely fantastic. Luckily for me, I am immune to their charms, as I recently-ish backed a Kickstarter, and I've got more Duchy of Warsaw in my cellar than there probably were in actual Warsaw. So that's the only reason why you're not going to see me buying any. Although that said, I'm fairly certain I will be at a Wargaming show, and my resolve will fail me. and I'll pick up a box at some point. But thank you so much for listening today. As I say, please check out Beneath Eagles to Glory. I'm hoping that it's going to be a celebration of all things Napoleonic. It is not a tournament. It is a weekend gaming event. As I say, we've already sold more tickets than the low end that I was hopeful for. So thank you very, very much if you've already got your tickets. Do I have any more announcements? I may have a sneaky collab coming up in the mid to distant future. That's not confirmed yet, but I'm not going to say anything yet. That's certainly not till after Adepticon. If you are going to Adepticon, make sure you email me. We're going to have to get together at some point. I don't think I'm doing anything on the Sunday daytime. I don't think, so that might be a good time to. I think I'm playing Silver Bayonet till about 2:00. But that is all. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. If the Duchy of Warsaw are not something that appeals to you, let me know who you would like to see next in plastic, or who you would like to see start collecting for. But thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.